SMTN.
How's it going, everybody, and welcome to Shin Megami Tensei Network Link 322. I'm your host here, unfortunately not fresh off a Little Caesars trip, Spencer Presley. But you know what is better than Little Caesars? Our very, very special guest, which I'm now thinking by that comparison people might think is like an insult. But if they had listened to the whole previous unrecorded conversation, they'd understand this is definitely a compliment, is to say, in the echelons of Little Caesars, is Justice, who's, I've just realized now, I didn't ask how to say your last name. Please teach me how to not butcher your last name, Justice.
It's Slocum, Justice Slocum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, welcome on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. I will say debatable. I'm not sure if I'm better than Little Caesars Pizza. I would say like a close fourth under, like if Little Caesars number one, I'm like a close fourth on the little hierarchy. But thank you very much for saying I'm at least a little bit close to it.
Oh, I mean,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's well, you know, much like real Little Caesars in general, there are awful ones and really good ones. So really, being in the league of Little Caesars is like saying you're the fivest five or the tenest 10. There's no anywhere in between.
Yes.
We've caught you on a good day, though. I have a good feeling about this. So, Justice, for anyone out there who unfortunately may not know who you are, who the heck are you? And
how dare you?
I know, yeah. I mean,
for not knowing who I am.
Big time, big money Justice, as I think is what we go by.
Yeah. I added it to my my birth certificate.
You did the rare nickname before the first name. So when people do the parentheses in the middle, you're like, no. You need the big money first.
Hello, everybody. I'm Justice Slocum. If you played Yakuza Like a Dragon, I did additional voices in that. If you played Lost Judgment, I played Tetsuro Kuramazaki. If you did the robotic side thing, okay, wait. If you played Lost Judgment and you didn't do the school stories, you need to go back and play all of it because that side story is so good. It's like a separate like main story thing, and then it all comes together and it's so good. You just do it. I know most people didn't like the robotics thing. They're it's too hard, but just just go for it, okay?
My only issue with the Lost Judgment school stuff, I'm on the side of I thought it should have been mandatory because the amount of story in there that like
yes,
I feel like I had less of an experience if you haven't because like I get it. Not all RGG game side quests are created equal. Definitely true. But like they cooked extra hard with like the they didn't have to go as hard as they did with all the school side stuff. It's very
super good.
Very good.
Whoa. It was man. Like the one I had the hardest time with was the racing one because it was like the Mario thing of like they catch up super quick even if you're super ahead. But other than that, I was like everything was just super fun. Oh my bad. I'm still doing the intro. My bad. I got on the tangent.
Oh no, this show is just one incredibly long tangent. You don't worry. You'll find that out very shortly.
Let's see. I'm trying to go in my head. I should have like brought up my IMDb. If you haven't, this is just a little tiny thing coming out next week. If you ever heard of Persona 3 Reload, I'm Shinjiro Aragaki in that, and super excited to be here. I'm double excited, so it's super excited.
Now, like, I just was thinking about this. So, being Shinjiro, was it mandatory? Did you have to wear a beanie and apron the whole time? Like, I feel like that'd be the only way I could be the character. I don't know any other way.
I wish. I can't. There's not mini beanies that can fit on my head because I have an afro, and it makes it very uncomfortable. But if I had a beanie, I would have wore it. But other than that, I was just like whatever clothes I put on that day.
Now, are you
But
now when you're recording, are you a headphones on or a headphones off kind of guy?
so for when PCB does their stuff, it's usually off. I don't think they provide. They might, if you ask for it, they might provide headphones. But I was headphones off, and then they do talk back, and there's like speakers in the studio. But whenever I go to other places, it's just whatever they prefer. I go with the flow.
I gotta say though, I've now brought myself on a tangent because you talking about your hair got me thinking. Are there beanies for afros? And let me tell you, there are.
Mm,
There is a
yeah.
wild, wild world of of beanies for afros, and they are
Mm.
fantastic.
I might have to invest in one just because I miss beanies
I
and
you know what?
hats.
I don't know. Would we count this? I feel like. Did you ever watch Ed and Eddie growing up?
Yeah, oh, Double D.
I feel like Double D had the fro beanie because
Yeah,
that beanie had a lot of like luggage in it. I could tell.
yeah. We never like officially saw what was underneath the beanie, huh?
It was too much for Cartoon Network. They couldn't get it past the censors.
Oh wow.
But yeah, now I'm just thinking like what's the market people have of Oh my god. I'm sorry. I hate that I looked it up and people are like most popular fan theories for Double D's hat was either he had a mullet, no hair, or an afro. Those are the only three we could
Oh,
decide.
that's really good.
Oh man, I'm
Is it
imagining
wait?
he had all three in one. It was a mullet afro with a really big bald spot in the middle.
Doesn't he have like hair sticking out? If it was like no
He
hair,
had
would he have
he
like
had
flat?
like he had like some like how Eddie's hair is a couple of lines.
Oh,
He had like those hanging out the back. So like it means he could have
oh.
anything. Like he could have had dreads for all we know.
I would not like no hair, but like back of the head hair, Double D. I would have to just. I don't know what I would do. It would change my life forever.
I know. No, it's a wild thing. I mean, listen, Ed and Eddie in general. The more you think about it, the more it makes you think, and it never has easy and quick and
Mhm.
whatever answers out there. But my God, yes, Spencer, I know this is somehow in new time listeners. I know the number one Ed and Eddie podcast also talks about JRPGs. You're right. It's been a slow couple of years. But yeah, so Justice, like, so what? Because obviously you've been doing like acting and stuff for a couple of years, but like, what
Mm.
kind of got you into this? Obviously you're out on the West Coast, kind of doing it now. Have you always been a West Coaster? Did you do
Yeah.
the extra dangerous thing of traveling out there? Like, what's the story, man?
Okay. This is gonna be a long story. I'm gonna try to do my best. All right. So what first wanted me to act was in elementary school. I remember I was walking with my friend. It was after wrestling practice, and then I saw a poster for the school play, and I was like, acting. That seems like it might be fun. But then it turns out that I was too late to audition for it. So then the next year I auditioned for it, and then I got into the play, and then I loved acting ever since. I don't know why I count the fourth grade looking at it and then seeing it and going, I want to do that maybe as the beginning part, but every time I tell that story, I add that part in for some reason. But
Well,
then like,
I gotta know what was the play though.
oh, I don't even know. I know the first play, the one in fifth grade that I did. It was either what was it? It was something huckle. It had huckleberries
I
involved with
was
it.
I was gonna say, please don't tell me it was Huckleberry Finn, because then that's just gonna lead
Oh
to lead.
no.
I'm like, what? Please, not a lot of great choices to be in Huckleberry Finn is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. What was it? I know what I don't remember what I did on the other one. There was two plays. I did it fifth grade and sixth grade. One was cowboy related, and then I think we did like Beatles songs. It was like a musical, but I don't remember what the other one
Was it
was.
like Yellow Submarine?
No, I don't know what it was.
Weird. That is wild.
Yeah,
Le-
it's just lost in time
At
now.
least it wasn't Tom Sawyer. I was worried it was they had the
Yeah.
2-for-1 punch. It was like it was cheaper to get both of them back to back than it was to get them separate years.
Oh, I could not imagine how my parents would react if it was either Huckleberry Finn or Tom Sawyer. I would have been like switched at the school because they burned it down or something.
What I love about that is I was like thinking it was like I like normal people when they think about man back in my day with school. I like to think of it from like the theater kid's perspective of like, do you
Mm.
ever like think about how different your theater experience would be even if you were like 10 years younger or older? Because like there are kids
Mm.
now like back in like my day like things like High School Musical was like just coming out, whereas like
Oh yeah.
now kids like going into theater, you have a chance of pulling either the lucky straw or the bad straw, being like, well, kids, I guess it's Shrek the Musical this year.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's like more. Is it more like I don't know anything about the theater scene. Is it like more accessible to get stuff like licensed, or is it just like they go for like the more popular stuff or not?
So
I wish
this
Lee
is what
was
always
here.
blew
You
my
know.
mind as like I was never a theater kid but definitely was in a lot of theater kid like friend groups, and what was
Mhm.
funny about it was finding out I always thought the world of like high school and just like off Broadway musicals, I thought it was just a complete like we're stealing each other's work show. I didn't realize they're all licensed. Like the school has to
Uh,
like pay money and
yeah.
like sign a contract even to do something like Oklahoma. So it's so
Mhm.
funny to me because like I would just think like who are these theater police going to like Oklahoma and being like
Little small town.
I'm just imagining it's like somewhere in Ohio there's like a theater police department who like goes to
uh,
each play for the Sound of Music, and if they don't have the swastikas up, they're not following the code. We got to know they're Nazis. Even in the elementary musical kids.
oh, the theater police is just. Oh, that'd be so good.
What a job that would be. Could you imagine be like, "Honey, how was your day today?" "Oh god, took down a school of 15-year-olds. They tried doing I can't even think of it. They tried doing Annie and skipping the cake scene or something. I don't know. But yeah, so you got in, you got the acting itch, and then
Oh
what did
yeah.
you do with yourself from there?
So throughout my school career, minus seventh grade, because I switched schools and the school that I went to didn't have a theater program, which sucked. But throughout that, I've been like doing different acting stuff. So I think eighth grade I did theater, and then ninth grade I did theater in ninth grade too. Well, these are classes. I didn't really do like the clubs or anything of the extracurriculars because I'm lazy. So I was just doing the classes. Tenth grade, I think I did um the school videography class, and then 11th grade there was like a separate like other school after school. It was like during school but also after school program where I did videography, and then 12th grade I did like the video game program, and then somewhere between 11th and 12th grade I got the voice acting edge by doing like hobby stuff, so that was kind of fun. And then oh man, then I went to community college for theater. If anyone is like wondering, oh, should I try to go to college, do a 4 year right off? Go to community college first. It's cheaper and it's more fun. And then I transferred to USC, and then that's where I like took all my other classes and I graduated from there. I hope that made sense.
No, 100%. And also, I literally, I could not agree more. Like, community college is definitely just, like, even though I know it's way more expensive now than, like, even back when I
Mhm.
went, like, it's such a good way of knowing if college is the right thing for you or not.
Yeah.
Just because it's like, man, why willingly throw yourself into that much debt without knowing if you're going to love a thing or not?
Yeah, exactly. And
So,
if I tried to apply to USC straight out of high school, wouldn't have happened. I was the worst, not the worst student. It was like I was mid. I was a mid student. I became a better student during community
okay,
college.
so then we got to ask, so then what was the best and what was the worst class you had in high school? Like, not grade wise, but
Oh,
personal opinion.
Okay. Ooh. Hmm. I Worst, I want to say PE because my first year I got a D. I either got an F or a D the first semester. Not because I didn't exercise. I got it because I didn't wear the stupid blue shorts and white shirt that they wanted me to wear. I'm like, I don't have a blue shirt or a white shirt and blue shorts. Just let me work out in my pants. I'm doing the
See,
exercise.
the problem was though, on top of not following dress code, I bet you were just showing up there with a spaghetti strap shirt. Like
Yeah, the
you were
spaghetti
probably
straps.
bulked
My
up
skirts were
so
too
hard,
short.
like you were probably causing those kids like body dysmorphia they couldn't even begin to understand because of how jacked you were by comparison. I mean, they were like, "What's going on with this guy?"
Whoa, this guy's super
I do love
buff.
the idea though
Then
of
I
like flunking out of PE just because you're not wearing the right clothes. Like at that point, you should have just lied to him and just been like, "I'm sorry, I'm colorblind.
yeah.
I don't even know what color this shirt is."
Oh, this isn't a white shirt. Oh shit, my bad.
Colorblind,
Oh
while
heck.
being a very real thing, is one of those things that like I've never met someone who would get offended at being like caught as a fake. Like no one's like, you don't know our
Mhm,
pain, our colorblind pain,
mhm,
versus like it's like the perfect crime without hurting anybody. Like no one's gonna call you out
mhm.
on it and be like, I don't know, are you really colorblind? Let me give you this very detailed test. They're gonna be like, all right, whatever, just don't wear the pants that say juicy on the back. That's all we ask. That should be the only dress code in schools anymore.
I always wear my juicy sweatpants.
They were sweatpants, but I cut them to be shorts just because I like to be extra problematic in high school for everyone. Oh my
Gotta
god!
send a message.
So you kind of got the voice acting bug like pretty young and stuff with it. Was it just from like being around it, or like what kind of like sparked voice acting?
Trying to remember. I think I was on I was on Tumblr and there was like little comics and I was like, I want to voice this comic. And then I voiced the comic and I went, this is fun. So then like I just started like auditioning for online stuff, being in online stuff a little bit. Also, if anyone wants to be a voice actor, the online community is super cool. And if you just want to get started, there's other people just like you making projects and stuff. Just
Yeah,
saying.
there's a like I feel like it's never been more crowded, but also as everything kind of grows in the like acting,
Hmm.
especially online like collaboration wise, there are so many websites and resources and things like that that
Yeah.
like people are just like yeah, like you can find someone working on like I'm working on like this video game or I'm doing this online
Hmm.
short. Like what do you like want to do? Do you want to be a guy who's just a random background character talking or do you want to be like this big major role for it? Like there's so much stuff people can do.
Yeah. Also, I'm gonna give a little quick shout out to Voice Acting Club. If you just wanna get started, make sure you read the frequently asked questions and the rules, okay? Make sure you do those things. If I see you pop in and you didn't read the rules or the FAQs, I'm gonna bop ya right on the forehead.
See, I'm just imagining like also good advice. Make sure before doing anything or signing up for anything, ask how much barking will be involved, please.
Yes. Gotta protect that voice.
I was like thinking about it recently. So like you're the first of hopefully many of the new Persona 3 actors to come in. But I was thinking about it like if I can space it out enough, I would love to get to the point where I have two people left to like bring on the show,
Hmm.
and people are gonna think, "Oh my God, you've got insert whoever's hardest to get or scheduling wise first." And then what I'll just do is it'll be go up on April Fools, and it will just be me talking to a dog and just pretending that's Kormar's voice actor. Because like what I always find is like hilarious to me is like so
Hmm.
they've done a really good job of like marketing like Reload of like here's the Japanese voice actor, here's the new English voice
Hmm.
actor, and then extra wild to me
Yeah.
is like I don't know if you've seen this, but like in the English YouTube page, they just post the English version. On the Japanese one,
Mhm.
they actually have two separate trailers. So the Japanese audience actually
Oh
gets
wow.
one specifically for the English voice actors, which I think is a
Mhm.
really cool kind of step. But
That's so
my
cool.
but my dumb brain like goes and I see things and I go like, really guys, only one you just reused the Japanese dog noises. You couldn't afford the dog dub.
I would have loved to be Koromaru's dub. I would have trained. I would have like spent the night at like dog parks just to get the sound right, just to do him justice. But to say you did really good as
I,
well.
I
But
just I
man, if
just
I
always
got
imagine it's like those. I forget the name of who popularized it. There was this like girl on TikTok who would bring a comically small microphone to dog parks and would
oh yeah, and they go
yes, would either eat
you
them
should
or
like
do the
the sniffs. Yeah.
but so it's like it is really funny of like that thing where because I try and always like go and cover a lot of like local and even like we'll fly out for other conventions, and like while I
Mhm.
always appreciate that there are usually panels or people like interested in like getting into voice acting, it is so funny though when I
Mhm.
see people who are like, oh man, I'll never get into voice acting, and like you look at so many people who like even a year ago were in like nothing getting into like
Yeah.
these crazy big projects just
Mhm.
because they were putting themselves out there. Like it's a lot of work, but it's also a thing that like there are so many real results still of people
Mhm.
joining this like industry and actually like finding success.
Yeah. There's a lot of work in the background, a lot of work that's not seen by the public, I'd say. Lots of classes, lots of like workouts. Just it's like going to the gym and then you see someone you haven't seen for a year and you're like, "Oh, they're like, "Oh, you're so buff now." And it's like, "Yeah, I've been working out." It's kind of like that.
It all goes back to just being super buff about everything. I mean,
Yeah.
um, do,
Back in my super buff
so
days.
I have your like resume or like list of things up for it, but I was kind of curious because you mentioned doing like some like Tumblr voices and like other things for it, which like I always feel like especially like for like the 2000s generation is either like you
Mhm.
were doing YouTube, Tumblr, or Newgrounds. There was like no one was doing any of the other. It was like one of those three.
Mhm. Mhm. It was YouTube. But you'll never find those. I mean, some of them are still up. You'll never find them though, but they're still
So
up.
we
But
gotta
you'll
be
never
like,
find them.
so were you using your real name being credited in them, or like did you have like an alias you went by?
Just crazily geeky. If you ever went to my Twitch, just crazily geeky. I have some of them up still.
See, I wasn't sure if we were like doing with like your Twitch persona. I wasn't sure if we had like I'm trying to think of a not really random One Piece comparison to this. Let's say like
No, no, give me the really One Piece
okay,
comparison.
so
You're
are
safe
you
here.
aware of who Soga King is? I
Yep.
like to
Mm-hmm.
imagine that like your Twitch persona is Soga King, where we all know it's you, but
No,
we'll
it's
never
me.
admit publicly that it's Justice. Like Justice and Soga King somehow have just never been in the same room together.
I kind of do that. I like post my Twitch stream on the thing, and then someone came in. They're like, "Oh yeah, Justice Slocum shared your stream." I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty cool."
Because like I was
Cool, dude.
aware of you, I think a little bit before your casting had been
Mhm.
official. But what was funny was I saw you for the first time, like really, and I think like I started following you on Twitch from when you
Mhm.
started your Tactica playthrough, and it was
Oh yeah.
watch the person who's friends with Arena play Tactica.
Friend of voice actor of Arena plays Persona 5
That's like
Tactica.
that's like my kind of humor that I love of like because like me and my dad, especially with movies, will like we get such a kick out of this of like from the guy who brought Mike Myers coffee during Shrek 4 comes the next animated classic of the year.
Also, can we just give a moment of how fantastic not only Persona 5 Tactica was, but how great Lee was as Arena?
Insane.
He was, amazing,
Since
fantastic.
what was it? You were not in that game at all, so I can say this in a public way. This is how you know when I really like a game's voice cast.
Mhm.
The sound editing not being very even on that game upsets me only because I want to hear everyone so much more than I am. I'm like the music is blowing out everyone's lines, and I'm like, I just want to listen to Toshiro talk, but every time he talks, it's like there's a sock over his microphone.
Yeah, luckily Lee told me early on that the sound was going to do that, so they told me to turn the music down. So I was like, chef's kiss amount of
I want
audio
you
for
every
everything.
time because like I'm actually still working on because I'm incredibly bad at my job and have too many. I juggle too many things. My plan is I'm gonna have my review up for Tactica, so I actually haven't beaten it yet myself, and I'm just about
Oh.
there. So like by the time most people hear this, my review should either be out or will be just
Mhm.
about out with it. But it's just so funny because like when I'm playing it, because it's been like a little over 2 months at this point. I'll keep every
Mhm.
time I'll start it up on my PlayStation, I'll be like, check for a patch, because the only thing I want them to see in the patch is I
Just for
want to
the
be like,
sound.
fix audio balance, just give me like, just let me like, please fix this, because it's like they don't even need to do it. They just be like, just set the music to 5. If you set the music to 5, you're
Yeah.
good. But yeah,
Yeah.
great game. I just want to hear everyone way more. But it is one of those like when that's your biggest complaint with the thing, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Mhm.
But yeah, like I mean, we might as well ask this because I don't know any other time that this would come up during the interview. But hey, what did you think of Tactica for people who didn't get to check out your stream?
I loved Tactica. Not only did I have so many friends in there, I was like, it's like I like the way Atlas has been playing with like different genres of game and how they're like knocking it out the park with each one. Like, have you played Strikers and they're like the beat 'em up, not beat 'em up, like the action like style combat?
Oh, mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just like them like like trying new stuff out. It's fun.
It's so wild to me too because like when I'm playing it, because when the game got announced, I kept waiting for to find out who the actual developer was for it because it was like I can't
Hmm.
imagine it's actually P Studio because like
Oh
they're
yeah.
not necessarily known for making like strategy RPGs and stuff for it. So it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's probably some other company with it, and then finding out like this is like their first attempt at one. It's like, man, it's like I keep always making this comparison with it, but it's funny how similar they are. It's like when you first
Mhm.
heard about Mario plus Rabbids, you're like, that can't work. And then you see it on paper, you're like, wow, it worked. It is actually good. I don't know how that happened.
I still have to play that one. It's really good. They keep making more, so it has to be right.
Well, that's the funny thing. So the first one and the second one are really, really good. But the
Mhm.
distinction was they took too long making the sequel. And then I think it just released in a
Oh.
really crowded month. But like, so there's a demo for
Mhm.
both. So they're not like story heavy where you got to play one before the other. But like, they're super
Mhm.
good. They're really dirt cheap. And like, even if you just like Mario or you just like tactical RPGs, they're really, really
Uh-huh.
good.
Oh wow.
But yeah,
I'm gonna check it out.
and I mean, also, everyone loves Rabid Princess Peach. I don't know why, but there's just something about seeing that weird, despicable me like rabbit wearing a Princess Peach costume that just gets everyone excited. But yeah, so kind of tiptoeing our way to Persona 3, but I'd be curious, kind of, what's your outside of like your acting background, like what is your like video game background, and how much Atlas experience have you had before this?
Ooh, that's a good question. Um, I think I think the first console I had was a PS1, and then a lot of Tekken 3. That was one of my favorite games as a kid. Eddie Gordo's the
Oh,
man.
we got to talk about the
Um,
con. Are you pro new Eddie Gordo hair, or are we? Let's get him some new hair. What do you think about Tekken 8 Eddie Gordo?
ooh, I like it. I mean I miss his long luscious locks, but The one's kind of cool too.
The legs are. I think it's one of those things where the current. I forget like what it's called, but the current hairstyle that everyone's like, why do we only give black people one hairstyle a generation?
The Killmonger.
Yeah,
lock.
it's like I get it, but it's one of those things where I think if we just spaced it out more, people would have enjoyed it. But it's because we've had so many like big games back to back to. Like the only thing that would push it over the edge now is if in like Spider-Verse 3, Miles has that hair now too. Then the world would just be like, all right, guys, we gotta go back to the drawing board.
I saw I think it was a TikTok. They had some cool like. Oh, I wish I had it on me, but like, I see where the argument comes from because there were some cool like they had some like cool ass hair like designs. I'm like. Maybe I'll grow my hair out just to try that out. There's like locks, but like in like a certain pattern. I don't know how to like say it, but it was like super cool. So I was like, maybe a little bit more. We can go further with this hair technology.
Dude, man, let me tell you the things you'll learn about like being a hella white guy such as myself is like the world of black hair is so fascinating on so many levels as someone who will never have anything to do with it, but it is one of those things where like I forget the name of it, but like even like watching like there was like some documentary I saw a couple years ago that was about it, and it was like, man, there are just so many things that go into it that you just never think about if that's not your hair.
My bad, my throat. Yeah. Question: have you seen the TikToks? There's a super cool. I think she's a cosplayer, but like she has like little wax things, and she does like crazy, so like super cool, crazy shit with like her fro. So then like she can like add it to make like a Pokeball or something, and she did like a Pokeball once, and then like a different time she did like a little like skull face. It's super cool. I wish I had the name.
I'm putting in wax cosplayer Pokeball. I had way too many results come in from TikTok. I'm already worried about my search history now. Oh no, I did forget to do the word TikTok. That's probably why. Oh, wild! I have not seen. Somehow the Pokeball was way bigger than I thought it would be. That's very wild. That's crazy though. Damn.
If I was less lazy with my hair, I would do it, but I'm too lazy. I have so much hair, and I'm like, I'll pick it out maybe. Maybe today I'll pick it out. Maybe I just won't do nothing.
I've got the world's least sympathetic hair struggle for me because like my thing is this: I do almost no anything to my hair. I wake up and I go, how unugly can I make this today? It's just like, I know the bar's really low, but I was like, I gotta at least check it out. But then what was funny was like, if my hair's long, it is more likely to either get greasy quicker or be really unkempt. Because like I'll comb it, and like I'll do basic stuff with it, like I'll shampoo it and stuff. Obviously, I'm not like I never touch my hair, but like I'm not putting oils in. I'm not treating this thing nicely. This is like it's the drive-through of hair process in the morning. I look, do I have bed head? Can I get up? So then you think, okay, well then just have your hair be really short, which is what my parents did for a long time. They would just give me a buzz cut. The problem, my parents gave me also a giant 5-head, so I have a large noggin that needs to be covered up by hair. Hence my struggle. No one will know my pain. No one knows how much I suffer with this large hair problem. But you know, this does get me like thinking of like a funny thing of like wondering when people, because like the level that people listen to like voice actors. And I wonder, like, when it gets to where they're like, oh, man, I wonder what this person must, like, look like in person. And then if it goes that far of being like, oh, and I wonder what their hair is going to, like, look like. Like, I wonder, like, if it ever gets, like, that deep where they're like, oh, man, what's the hair, like, what's the hair on Akihiko's voice actor like today? I'm wondering. I'm dying to know.
Beautiful. Beautiful all the time. Alejandro is the greatest.
we gotta be like, all right, everybody, we need to do get the whole cast together for like a launch party, and
Hmm.
we'll do a tier maker, but it's just of everyone's hair.
No, my heart couldn't
Well,
take
no,
it
so
if I
not for
was.
the voice actors, but for who everyone
Oh, for the
plays. So
character.
the in-game hair
Okay.
tier list.
Okay, Shinjiro getting ass. These hair is amazing as well.
That's hair.
I mean,
Shinji's hair is hair
yes.
that I look at and I go, that's great. I would not have the manpower to upkeep that hair. That's a
Hmm.
lot. That's a lot of hair to work with.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, I think we made it like 3 games into you talking about video games before I definitely threw us off on the world's longest Eddie Gordo
Oh, no, you're,
tangent.
you're good. You're good. I want to know what your highest ranking character hair would be, though. Who's your S
Are we
rank
are so
be?
are we just saying anyone in Persona 3 then?
Yeah, anyone in Persona
Mm,
3. Let's do party members and then anyone, and then open it up to everybody.
if I'm allowed to, and I'm probably not, and I can give another answer, I would say, damn, it's tough. I think. Oh no, so yeah, this is just party. So out of just the main C's members,
Mhm.
I'm gonna have to go. I think I'm gonna have to go Mitsuru. I'm a
Yep.
sucker for red hair. Everyone else has
Hmm.
great hair, but there's a lot of similar like hair. Like it's a lot of
Yeah.
short bobs. It's a toaster with a wig on its head. A small child. I don't feel comfortable rating his looks just because it's the internet. I'm sure Junpei's got some great hair. Take that hat off. What are you hiding under there,
No,
you coward? Like,
he has the double D, 3 hairs in the back, and the rest is bald.
female protagonist almost has it, but then again,
Oh
it's the
yeah.
short hair thing. I mostly like her thing is like I like the she has like a bobby pin design in her hair on one side, but like you never
Hmm.
almost never usually see it. But she doesn't
Hmm.
exist in 2024, so we don't talk about her. FemC doesn't exist. I'm sorry, Laura Bailey, your character does not exist in this universe.
Oh Lord. Oh yeah, I think I heard that Laura Bailey voice. That's so cool. What the heck?
I would say if I was saying anyone's hair, and this is definitely like out of complete bias to the character, and
Hmm.
also not canon in this game, unfortunately. Theodore's hair, I fucking love Theodore's outfit. He's super clean.
Is that the blue guy in
Yeah,
Portable?
what was it?
The
It's the
attendant?
Velvet Room attendant. So he's got like
Mm.
slicked back gray hair, but it's like enough parts kind of come off. So it's like imagine if
Oh.
Toshiro was like a gray fox, but instead of his bangs
Oh.
going down, they slicked outwards.
Oh.
So
Okay, okay.
he's more likely to be less than canceled. So maybe he's like a post credits scene. He shows up and then I'll cry and I'll be like, oh my god. They got the least important member of this cast back just for me. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. But what about you? Who stands out for best in game hair?
I agree with you. Mitsuru does look like she spends like a good amount of time on her hair. The curl it's not a curl, little curl kind of in the front.
I'll be honest.
The
That
redness.
hairstyle is out of my tax bracket. I don't even think I could look at that hair and afford it.
Yeah, I could never. I could never. I would agree with you. Mitsuru probably has the best hair. Shinjiro might be a close second. I feel like he does like a good ass routine, but then just puts the beanie on just cause. But other
It's a
than that,
sentimental beanie. I mean, I'll be honest.
mm,
While I did mention I have an uncomfortably large head, I do love it when I have a beanie that does fit, and I've been rocking the same beanie for like
mm.
almost 10 years at this point. So I
Oh wow.
understand having the dedication of a lifetime to the beanie. But like I think like what's
Yeah.
funny is like I think out of everything in like Shinjiro's like outfit, I feel like his coat fucks so hard though.
It's super
It's
cool.
almost too cool that you don't even notice the beanie. Like the beanie is like the hood of the coat.
Yeah. Oh, if I could. I was thinking when I was cast as Shinjiro, I'm like, oh, should I get a cosplay
Oh,
of
you're gonna
it?
have to.
Should I get a cosplay of the jacket? And I was like, ooh, that's $300. Oh, the
That's
late.
that's what we call an Atlas tax write-up, where you tell Atlas West and you say, "Hey, thanks for letting me in this game. If you're looking for ways to promote it, I've heard giving all of us game accurate cosplays would be a really good idea."
Points my fingers together. Oh, Atlas, can you please, please, please give me a
The
cosplay?
closest what we need to do is we need to update, at least for when you decide to stream the game. We need to get like your Twitch model to have the Shinji code.
Oh, yes, that'd be so good. I didn't even think about that.
It's like I'm not cosplaying as a character I'd voice. That'd be too facetious. This is just a completely unrelated Twitch streamer dressed up as them and has a very uncanny similar voice to this character. So you are more. I gotta say, you are definitely more kind of in the realm of like Atlas than usually probably most voice actors we have on here are, because this is what will happen a lot of the time, and I never give anyone a hard time for it, because it's like we're very aware that this is a niche sub series already. And we always
Mhm.
like I at least always love saying I love when people get into the series at any point. You can be an Atlas fan who started with Smash Brothers, the dancing games, like
Yeah.
a cell phone game. It could be anything. Like there's so
Mhm.
many weird entry points for this series. But
Yeah.
like so like for you though, like what was like either like one of your first like Atlas games that like stuck out? Like what do you like remember playing first? Like was it a Persona game? Was it an SMT? Was it like some really obscure? Was it the weird Xbox 360 Game of Thrones game they did? Like, what got you into this company?
Ooh. Okay. So when I was in high school, I wanted Persona 4 Golden. So then my sister, for a present, bought me Persona 4 Golden for the PS Vita. I never owned a PS Vita. So she got me a game for a console I never had. So it just sat there in the shrink wrap the whole time, and I'm like, okay. But then later in high school, I got Persona 3 FES on like the PS3 like online store, and then I played part of that. I think I got to like the second boss, and then I had to stop playing for whatever reason, and then years later, Bing Bang Bop, get a phone call. You're Shinjiro Aragaki, and I'm like, I don't know who that is.
Sir, I did.
And I
Sir, I
looked it
didn't
up,
even
and I'm like,
audition. What are you talking about? This is a Wendy's. What are we doing here?
it was super cool because I was like, it was like, oh, this is crazy because it was like, boop boop boop. Because, oh, how do I explain it? Because I ended like the least I knew was like the earliest parts of the game. Because like I didn't remember beating the second boss, but like everything pre second boss I kind of remembered. So then like getting the auditions were very clearly, well, for the audition, I don't know how much I can share, but it was like you go to one character and he says come forth. I'm like, it's a Persona game. But my I'm a bit of a dummy. So then I was like, oh yeah, this is Persona 6, but they're using three lines for some reason. And then there's like a character that was obviously like Akihiko, and I was like, oh, they're reusing tropes, I guess, because this guy's just like Akihiko. And then
Little did you know, Justice. Persona 3 Reload is actually Persona 6.
yeah, the R and like the three somehow like fused together to form a six.
What I love is like this is the most out of pocket but now like most hilarious reason to guilt yourself into finally beating Persona 3. You're like, "Man, I finally have a reason to know everything that happens in this game now."
I beat it. I beat it. I finished it last year. I started up a new save, and then I went through everything. But man, not being able to control the party members
Okay, so I
sucked.
was going to ask, so did you play vanilla or Fez or portable?
Yeah, FES. Yeah.
She
I was like,
See, but now though that you'll wait and you'll hold off on portable you'll let it like sit like in fine wine, and then one day you can just be like, what if I wanted to date a version of myself that's not voiced by me? Let's do that.
one day. I was planning on it, but I never got to it. But I know all the cool stuff that happens in that game, and I think it's really cool.
Well, see, that's like the funny thing about Persona 3, especially compared to in a post 4 and 5 world, is 4 is still definitely a lot more lighthearted, but has a lot of serious undertones. 5 definitely
Mhm.
starts a lot more serious, but is never actually ironically gets to the like levels that 3 does. And
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that like makes
Mhm.
3 so memorable is like when 3 has really heavy moments, those are some heavy ass moments that still
Yeah.
stick with people to this day. Like there's no day in Persona 4, as much as I love it, where people go, damn man, September 8th, fucking never forget, dude.
I will say there's no day in Persona 4 that I remember like that, but the time at the end where a certain character is like not not at the house, and then I got really depressed, and I was like, man, I'm sad. What's going on?
Well, see, we're like, so there are especially like funny things of like that's why I'll be excited to see how the story is adapted in this remake, and then how new
Mhm.
players will kind of like take this, because like even just little facts of like it's almost like the like Mr. Incredible meme of like when you know versus when you don't know. Like
Yeah.
people jumping into Persona 3 for the first time be like, "Damn man, this game's a bop. Listen to these bangers, man. Where everything's
Yeah.
blue, we got guns to our head. This is a great time."
I'm so excited for new people to experience it too. I wanna see how everyone likes it, and it just would be
They're
super
going to be like,
cool.
"Guys, I've already seen the sequel. They all live. There's dancing at the end of the next one. They're all doing
Yeah, they're
great."
dancing.
Yeah, that's the secret post credits thing that Atlas didn't want anyone to know. There's actually just a complete remake of Persona 3 dancing, just overdubbed by you guys. So, by the way, I've got to ask, as I would say supporter, but that sounds too not authentic, as it's definitely a lot more unhealthy than it really is. I am a rabid fan of the PlayStation Vita, so I got to ask, do you still have your Vita or know where it is?
No, I never had a
So you
Vita.
just had it and it was just there.
I had the game. Yeah, I never had the
Do
Vita.
we still
It's the first
have
game I
like
owned.
if we can like find one and like we can like get you like an emergency support Vita, like we that's what we got to make happen in 2024 now. We got to get you a Vita.
Ooh, I would accept the Vita. Honestly, I when I was a kid, I'm like, man, it looks so cool. I want a Vita, but poor family, poor
But like,
kids.
"Mom, I
So,
know the mortgage is due, but there's a back touchscreen. Think of the possibilities I could do on Facebook with this back touchscreen."
let me play Gravity Rush on my PS Vita, please.
I do like, let me say, like there's like such a peak like feeling of like you like are gonna want this, but you don't have it yet. Of like, it reminds me of like, because I feel like we hadn't really seen that since like the Switch. Of like, I remember when the Switch came out and people were just buying Zelda, but you couldn't find the system,
Mm.
so they were just stuck with this game. They're just like, "Yo,
Oh,
man, when I get this thing, it's gonna go so hard. I don't know when though, but I mean, I got it."
yeah,
Because yeah, clearly, Zelda was gonna sell out, and you got to buy the game even though you don't have the system, because you don't want to be
yeah.
stuck sitting there like an idiot with 1-2 switch like me.
That's the one that has like the mini game with like the cowboy draw,
It
right?
does. I'm glad you went to that one as opposed to the sandwich eating one or the milking the cow udder one. That's where most people usually go to. So, kind of going back to like the auditioning process for this. Do you remember when auditions for it were happening? Because I know voice recording has been done for a hot minute.
Yeah, it was early 2022, I think. And
You
then I
kept
didn't,
that secret for so long, man.
yeah. And then I didn't hear I was in it till like mid to late 2022. So then I was like, oh, I at least I got to audition for it. That's cool.
That's
I
a
didn't think I got it.
surprisingly long process though for auditioning to final review and stuff. That's crazy.
Yeah. It was a pleasant surprise. I said this during our Persona 3 panel, but it was basically me. It was a phone call. Okay, wait. Let me just set the stage a little bit. I didn't mention this in the panel, but I was told to call Val from PCB, and I was scared because I just got with my agent who she recommended me to, and I was scared like they wanted to drop me, and then she was like trying to tell me to let me down easily. So the whole time I was like, oh man, I don't want to call. I'm scared. And then I called, and then she's like, "You Shinjiro Aragaki," and then the whole time I was like, I laughed and I said thank you, and I laughed and I said thank you, and that was on repeat until they're like, okay, have fun with you, like congratulations again, and then like the call ended, and then afterwards, I cried because it was so cool. I was like, oh, this is one of my longtime goals, and I got it done so like early. I thought it was gonna be like years and years down the line. I didn't know I was gonna like have that chance to be in a Persona game.
That's especially kind of like it's especially wild because I think Shinjiro is also such a special character. Like obviously all the casts are special and there are
Hmm.
reasons for it, but like he's kind of interesting with it of like sort of similar to Ken and I guess of like he's not a character you just immediately jump in and get to know. So, and
Yeah.
the fact that for so many years he has been so popular without really being like the mascot character, and even like, I mean, hey, going
Hmm.
back to the dancing games, like they kind of did Shinjiro dirty. Like, my man only had one song; he was DLC. So it was like
Yeah.
he's been such a strong force of like that game, despite him kind of being such a like not a like I feel like I guess a good like RPG similarity would be like how you don't really run into Vincent Valentine in Final Fantasy VII until quite a good ways into it, even though that character is
Mm.
incredibly popular because it's fucking Vincent Valentine. So it's like one of those things where like it shows because like obviously not a lot of people obviously always beat their games, and there's tons of people out there who probably started
Yeah.
Persona 3 but don't know
Mm.
everything about it and stuff with it. So it's kind of cool to like kind of jump into that. But I mean, on top of it, was there that moment though of like, oh god, I'm jumping into this remake with a completely new cast and everyone's going to be
Hmm.
incredibly not picky, but incredibly sensitive and immediately compare me to like the previous voice actors.
Um, I had that feeling, but I was like, I don't think, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think there's anyone out there who could have been as hard on me than I was to myself. Because I was like, okay, you're in Persona. Get your shit together, all right? You gotta make sure you do this really, really, really good. You gotta do
No one's
good.
gonna put
But then
me
like,
down as hard as I'm gonna put
but then like,
myself down.
yeah, there's no bigger critic of me than me, because I know all my insecurities and all my strengths and stuff. I know what makes me tick.
Shout out to me
But
for being the biggest hater of me.
yeah, I'm my biggest hater.
But
Oh,
so then kind of like for you then during the actual like main recording part, uh, did you either try to go off of Grant's original take on it? Were you listening and comparing it to the Japanese voice actor Nakai? Like, were there any kind of comparisons, or was it more like, nah, I'm gonna do this take with it?
I'm gonna do
Yeah,
my own thing.
I was
Yeah.
trying not to just verbatimly steal that line, but yes, unfortunately, Miles Morales has ruined the saying, "I'm gonna do my own thing."
So when I found out I was Shinjiro, I didn't I don't think maybe I did like listen to a little bit of Grant's performance because I had like that little bit of knowledge from the little teeny tiny bit I played of FES in high school. So I was like, I don't want to like copy it exactly, but I like looked up the wiki and see like, oh, what's like Shinjiro's arc looking like and stuff. And then like I'm like, oh, what are there's like his famous lines? And then in session when I was doing, I think it's when we were doing like the barks, like the efforts and stuff. That's when like they brought in the Seiyu lines, and I had to like match the timing of those. But other than that, I was like, I'm gonna try to go off my audition rather than the old performance, just so I'm like not different, but just like going, like not trying to match the old so much because you know it's the new.
Well, and that's kind of what's so interesting, and I really I need to like go and pick more of like the brain from like the voice direction side of it, because it's such a interesting kind of middle ground for a remake of.
Mhm.
It's not blatantly trying to just sound like the original. They didn't just go for a bunch of
Mhm.
like voice alikes. But at the same time, it's also still similar enough that you can pull those kind of comparisons in the sense of that
Mhm.
they're not going for like the Final Fantasy VII remake route where everyone's drastically different, where they're basically two
Mhm.
different characters. Like, you could put a line up next to like what you would say in battle versus like Grant's version, and you could
Yeah.
still tell they're both Shinji.
Mhm.
And that's like a really kind of interesting line to ride with it, because especially I remember because I was at the panel for at Anime Expo where they were showing off the English like kind of like dialogue for the
Ooh,
first
yeah,
time,
yeah.
and it was one of those things where it was like I get it of like because like they had a thing of like, hey, tell us what lines you want us to do. I don't think that was
Mhm.
like the best way. Like, I wouldn't have had that be the best way to like reveal what these characters sound like, because it's them
Mhm.
just because obviously the dialogue's not one for one in Reload. It's completely all been redone. It's not just reading the script verbatim
Mhm.
of the original. Because when you go into it with that headset of just like, oh, they're gonna say all the classics, you kind of have
Mhm.
that preconceived notion of, oh, this is Alex trying to sound like Yuri.
Oh yeah.
Whereas, like, you show what the game is actually like in motion,
Yeah.
you get that context where it's at you're in the right headspace of it of like, okay, I see where they're coming at with this, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. I agree. It was like the the context of not oh my gosh, I don't know any words. Like the thing of like it's new people, so like don't expect it to be like exactly the same as like the old performances or anything because it's a new set of people bringing in like their own skills and experiences and like life experiences and stuff to the character. So it can't possibly like be the exact same even though like it's the same character, if that
Oh
makes
yeah, and
sense.
I mean that's kind of why one of the more interesting things with it is I'll be actually really curious well after playing it first for the first time, but like I'm really excited to kind of go and listen to the Japanese one too, because
Mhm.
these actors have been playing these characters on and off for like 20 years, but at the same point, it's like they're not the
Mhm.
same person they were 20 years ago. So, like, it'll be interesting
Yeah.
to kind of compare those lines to it. So, like, because Japan definitely has way more of a, all right, voice actor of Sephiroth, this is your thing for the rest of your life now. We're never allowed to
Yeah.
recast you. Whereas in the West, I feel like there's a lot of reasons that go behind it that rhyme with
Mhm.
shmoney. But then I think there's also other things of like we want to kind of get more like more hands involved in terms of making it kind of be distinguished of like this is this version's own thing. And I appreciate it,
Mhm.
especially like for these like games that are following up and remaking titles that are in our head they don't feel like they're that long ago, but it's like that meme of like in my head whenever anyone says the 80s I'm like, oh, that was like 20 years ago, right? No. that was a that was a long time ago, Grandpa. And I was like, oh god damn, you're right. So it's like in my brain, I think about Persona 3. I'm like, yeah, the game's like 10 years old, right? I'm like, nah, dude, that's like 3 PlayStations ago.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. There's always like a lot of like interesting kind of like discussion behind how all that goes in there. Like it's, I feel like it's usually only a lot more of a minefield, in my opinion, when you have the really awful, not awful, but the usually difficult job of being recast in something that's not been changed. So like if you were taking over as Shinji in Fez versus Reload,
Yeah.
that would be more awkward. Of like, that's more of like, okay, we're gonna try and replace you, but hope no one notices. So like those ones are usually like more interesting notes. But I will say, like, I feel versus the comparison of the announcement up to now, this close to release, I feel like from how the community has responded and reacted to this for so long, I feel like it's now been very generally accepted amongst everyone of like, it's overall everyone's very excited. Like how has it been kind of for you of like from reveal to like kind of now like where's the like, wow, this is weird now, like kind of having like the community accept you as this character. Like what's that reaction been like?
It's been super cool. Like for the most part, everyone's been super nice and like cool about it. It's just, man, like taking the mantle of Shinji was like a stressful kind of like, ooh, I hope people like it, and then everyone like announcing and then people liking it. I'm like, yes, good, this is the best outcome. It's just it feels really nice. I like it. I like it a lot, and I hope everyone still likes the performance after they play the game. I hope they don't like switch up and like, oh, this is actually ass. I don't like this.
I will say I am so curious to see the next week and a half of. I'm really curious to see how it will review. Like, what will people think of it? Like from a critic's perspective. What will fans think who are like old, and what will like new fans think, and then also like how will it sell? Just because like I think all three of those are so interesting. Of like it's releasing in such an interesting time. Of
Yeah.
man, I hope you didn't buy Yakuza or have $180 on you guys, because if I still worked at GameStop, that would be like my go-to question, because there's a lot of crossovers between people who want to play Yakuza 8 and Persona 3. My go-to would be like
Final Fantasy, right? Isn't that like after like a
it
week
is
or two after?
so Yakuza is this Friday as of us recording it, and the next Friday is Persona. If I was like the store clerk, I'd be like, did you really beat Yakuza? Are you really? Did you beat all of Yakuza? Like, it'd be like I can't imagine being a kid like asking your parents like for like that one game. You're like, Dad, I know it's like 200-hour RPGs, but I gotta buy them both on. Because like I'm only like the only reason I'm picking Persona over Yakuza is just because it's like. I'm more obligated in terms of like I love both series, but I'm like, well, I mean, I gotta cover it on the podcast. Like, no one's gonna be like, Spencer, what are your infinite wealth opinions? And I'll just be like, I'm sorry, guys, you just gotta watch that XQC stream. That's the only thing I could do. We're gonna have to discover it together with everyone's favorite streamer. So like that's like the funny thing of it, of being like, yeah, man, like we're eating so good with stuff of like movies, TV, and games are too good and coming out too fast. There's not enough time.
Yeah. I'm so excited. I'm just gonna have to bunker down, get a gallon of water or something, and then speed run, or just 24 hours a day. Do Yakuza until Persona 3 Reload.
See, that's the problem. I wouldn't have released him as close as I am, but I will say I would have actually swapped it, because I feel like Persona 3's got to be shorter than Yakuza. Because Yakuza 7 is insanely long. Because you can skip someone's social link and not feel like, oh damn, bro. I'm never like no one's ever been like, did you really play Persona 3 if you didn't do the track meet? Oh no, the track meet girl, what happened? Her brother was so lovable. Like you never know. The bookstore couple, what do we do? See, I joke about this, but I bet there are people who are like, I fucking love that bookstore couple.
I love Mitsuko and Bunkichi. They're my favorite. I love them so much.
So it's like it is one of those things where there's no right answer, especially God forbid if you have anything else to do with like your time and stuff with it, but also probably good also to be like a wealth of riches, and I'm sure also they probably wanted to be release as quickly as possible, but also be nowhere near Final Fantasy VII. I think all RPGs are like, how legally far away can we be from this RPG? So
many games within a month too. Oh my god!
I mean, you know the real one though. I'm excited about Persona 3, but a Suicide Squad game I hear nothing but good things about. Man, you know, I'm just gonna have to. Could you?
I heard the Flash was too fast.
Oh my god! That would. You know what I would say? I would say I wouldn't even be mad at it. It would just make me laugh because it'd be like, man, what a weird timeline we live in. If by some reason Rocksteady does the impossible, and I would love it if they do this, if somehow everyone ends up loving that game, if somehow like that game comes out, everyone's like, damn guys, we were just wrong for 3 years. They were right. This live service game is great. And they were like, see? I, as someone who never wants to see anyone fail at anything, I would actually love it if we all ate crow on that. And that game was amazing. But, like, so for you, though, you do a ton of, like, streaming outside of, like, work and stuff with it, or at least, like, relatively quite a lot of it on there. Like, how are you kind of deciding what to play next with all these games coming out?
Oh, it's whatever I already have, so that I don't have to spend money. Whatever's on sale.
I had a broke boy day where I downloaded, because there's been a lot of demos recently, and I was just checking out like all the recent like wave of demos for stuff, and I was like, dang, I know I don't have the time for it, and I know it's gonna get cheap eventually, but man, that new Prince of Persia game is pretty fucking good.
I heard it was really good too. I saw people's comments. I'm like, okay, I might pick it up.
Also, I'm always a big shout out to anyone who does more than like the 2 like voice acting options and straight up just having a full ass Persian like voice cast, like bonus points for that. That was really, really cool. But yeah, there is so much stuff going on. I mean, we literally just talked about it earlier too, but like I think Tekken 8 is this week too.
Oh my gosh, is it?
I think literally Tekken comes out like the same day as Yakuza, or like a day before.
Same day. It's also January 26th. What the heck?
We're never gonna have free time ever again. We'll never have money again, and we'll never have free time. It's a cataclysmic wave of content.
Oh my gosh.
See, but
that's wild.
At least though with Tekken 8. I could do a couple of rounds and not feel like, oh, honey, we've got to beat the story mode before. Like, I love the story mode in Tekken, but Tekken story mode is not the reason I'm buying that game day one. Although I will say, did you see they hired Brian Cox for their last trailer?
I skimmed it.
It was
there's a 5-minute video, right?
My only thought of the whole video was I needed a disclaimer at the front or the end of it. I was like, does Brian Cox actually know anything about Tekken, or did he just have the most convincing? Because he read it like someone who knows about it. So that was like the funniest thing about it. Was like it didn't sound like someone reading a script. It was like, Brian Cox, we're gonna sit you down and make you learn about all of the Tekken lore.
He's a diehard Tekken
He's
fan.
like, listen, I'm going to tell you all about Armored King and how he's not just a different version of King, I promise.
He's going to talk about Gon, the little...
the dinosaur from 2. Let me tell you about beloved Tekken 2 character Gon. Oh my god. But oh my god, I guess I would be remiss if I didn't ask at least a little bit more about P3R if I can with it. So when the game did finally get announced, we're just gonna pretend that Instagram leak never happened. Don't worry about it.
I was gonna say.
I don't know what you're talking about. There was no Instagram leak. So when the like official reveal kind of happened during like Summer Games Fest, was it like, oh, like, cause did you like, do you guys ever get a heads up? Because I know some projects are usually, all right, you've done your part, don't say anything
Mhm.
until the game comes out or is announced, and then that's the last you ever hear of it. Like, was there any like murmuring it might have gotten announced for you guys, or was it just kind of like, well, I hope this game comes out?
Oh, yeah, we got an email that was like, it's going to be announced soon. At this time, you're allowed to tweet about it, and then congratulations on being in the game. So then, like, once the thing happened, I was like typing my little tweet. I'm like, thank you, everybody.
That's gotta
And
be a
then,
surreal tweet to draft.
yeah. What did I say? Let me see. I think it's on my pin. What did I don't
That's
even
right,
remember
everybody.
what I put.
Big money justice in Persona
Big money.
3.
Oh, yeah, it's a good tweet. I looked at it and just saw it.
I was so for you, obviously they're gonna just mail you every single version of this game for free,
I
as
hope.
publishers do,
Oh my
as publishers
gosh.
do. Um,
To
yeah,
influencers.
I mean you are. I mean, I think your roommate's a Twitch streamer. I think that's usually where the confusion comes from. So. So, do you have a preference of where do you want to play this? Do you normally do either console, PC? Are you going to just look at a blank Switch screen and cry? Like, where do you want to play this on?
I'm going to go into the game files and then make a D make so I can play it on my PlayStation 1.
You know what? There's a dude who does that though. Like he does like
The Bloodborne
yeah,
one?
like the modern. Well, like there's like the Bloodborne PS1 person is different because they made like a
Okay.
playable one. There's a guy on YouTube though who
Mhm.
does like he remakes games trailers as PS1 ones because like
Oh.
he's done one for like Death Stranding, Resident Evil 8,
Mm.
and a bunch of other ones with it. Like that actually would be wild. Like imagine a Persona 3 deloaded of like it's a demake in the style of Persona 1 instead of Persona 5.
Make it happen, Atlas.
But
I'm gonna play it on PS5. That's what I'm planning.
well, you gotta
Hopefully.
feel the dual sense every time. You know,
Yeah.
because I actually haven't gotten my hands on the game at all, which is
Mhm.
extra funny. I was like, what are silly little things they could do? Like, I know you don't activate your personas with the trigger, but man, if they could go back in time and like put that little like dual sense haptic like trigger pull for like your summon,
Uh-huh. Oh, that'd be so
that
cool.
I'm a fan of dumb gimmicky shit like that.
Me
I like
too.
that stuff.
Have you heard of Dark Sector for PS3?
Yes, I know the exact thing you're.
The like you can like you throw your glaive and then you like
Oh
move
my!
your PS3 controller to like control
Something
it.
about like the motion control gimmicks of that was always so funny because like in retrospect, I should look back on that and go, "Dang man, just let me use it with a controller. I don't need to use the analog." But it's like it's just satisfying for some reason. Like I don't know what it
Yeah.
is, but like using that dumb glaive with the DualShock 3, man, it just hits different.
So good.
Man, God, Dark Sector, what a deep cut. No one's calling you a fake gamer. I will say that.
It was $1 at like the closest like rental store when I was a kid, and I was like, "It's $1."
See,
Let me get
Dark
it.
Sector, I vehemently remember of like that was another one of like another one of those broke boy days of like, well, I've got a
Yeah.
demo. No, yeah, it was one of those games that had a demo, and I was like, all right, man, we're fucking with Dark Sector tonight. We're gonna play that first. We're gonna play that first world 9 times over. So, unfortunately, Persona 3 Reload does not have a demo, but I think if you just like go back in time, or like no, here's the answer Atlas would say: if you don't want to spend $70 on Reload, which first off, shame on you. What you can do, you can pay $20 to play Persona 3 Portable, turn the voices off and then just listen to this podcast, and then you'll just that'll be your experience of it as the demo. Put some Vaseline on the screen, forget about the visual novel parts, and just be like, damn, man, this game's looking hot.
Do you have a console of preference for Persona 3 Portable?
I'm basic. I love my trophies. I gotta go PS5 as well. I will definitely, though, be picking up a physical Xbox version because I still find Atlas games on Xbox so amusingly weird. Like, every time I look at him, like, it's just like... It's not that, like, oh, this doesn't belong here, but it's like one of those things where you don't think about it, and always in my brain it goes like... You know that this is going to be the least produced version and the least bought version. So, like, in my brain, I'm like, I got to buy this now just to support it. Because, like, I think it's all... And also, a big thing with it is, too, is, like, I mean, what I should have said for, hey, if you don't have money, just play it on Game Pass. Like, that'll be such a great, like, way for people to experience it for free. Of, like, playing it on PC and Xbox with Game Pass is so funny. But with the Atlas stuff that's extra cool is in the West... That's the only way to buy it physically. In Japan, there's no physical Xbox version, so it's kind of like this weird thing of like... Because in Japan, like, they primarily play on the Series S over there. There's a lot of Series X, but because of, like, how much cheaper it is, like, they basically just promote only Game Pass stuff over there. Like, there's very, very little physical Xbox stuff. Now, that being said... Am I financially irresponsible, and did I buy an Xbox copy of Persona 3 Portable from Limited Run Games? You bet your ass I did.
Nice.
Because why? Because where else would you see a port of a PSP game on an Xbox? Sure. Let's buy that, and instead of eating for the month, that's a good idea. I'll do that.
Is that the one that came with an evoker?
That one, yes, that one had... There were two versions. There was like a Steelbook edition, and then, yeah, the like Big C's Evoker edition. But it's only on the display. You can't take the gun off the display. I wish you could, but they probably were like, you know what? A removable gun would probably not be good to include with this thing. A really funny little fact, though, because I got my PS4 copy of that in... Because I ordered the other like collector's edition separately. I was like, I wanted to just see what it looked like. The manual for P3P through like the limited run version, it's literally just the PSP manual. Oh, wow. And so it's like so wild of like looking at this looking at any instruction manual, because spoilers for P3R, guys, there's no instruction booklet on that game.
I miss instruction booklets.
They hit different, man. And so, like, when I was doing my unboxing, I had the PSP version there, and I was looking at it. It's literally a 1-to-1 recreation of that, like, 30-something page manual with, like, the, like, fusion charts and all the other stuff with it. Even down to the wildest thing of, like, the screenshots were the same 4x3 screenshots.
Wow.
It's little dumb things like that I always appreciate with it, because it's like, especially because, man, back in the day, like, even like Persona 3 on the PS2 and stuff, like, Atlas used to do some chunky manuals. Like, they had big, beefy, colorful manuals. They were really cool.
Bring them back, game industry. I want instruction manuals.
You know, there are people out there, like, that's like their business on like Etsy and stuff. They just make custom game manuals.
Ooh, I have to check that out.
It's always one of those things where, like, I'm glad someone's doing it, but also it's one of those things where I wish the publishers would just go back to do it at the same time too.
Yeah.
The big, like, chip on my shoulder one that, like, is the most... I probably sound like a huge baby for complaining about it, but I'm so sad the game didn't get it, especially just because there's so much beautiful art in Persona 3 Reload.
Yeah.
Super bummed there's no Steelbook. I love Steelbooks. That's like my big collection thing next to Vita games. And like just imagining how pretty like either the cover art would have been, or just having like the whole cast on it or whatever. Like Steelbooks just hit different for me. Am I aware it's just a big empty case? Yes, it is. But I love that big empty case either way.
Yeah.
But I will probably start trying to wrap up and stuff here, so I don't keep you too long. How long have I even been? I think I've had you hostage here for like 90 minutes now, so I apologize for keeping you as long as I have. You've got to
You're all
you've got to
good.
save your throat muscles. You've got a whole streamily.
Yeah, Streamily.
You've
It was Streamily training.
speaking of physical media, that's always like one of those like funny ones of like I feel like if you told voice actors about the idea of Streamily a decade ago,
Mhm.
they'd be like, "Who would ever watch this?" You'd be like, "All right, all right." Like I'm trying to think of like just something to be like, "All right, Bill Cummings, I want you to sit in your living room table and sign these pictures." We've got Bilbo Daggin 69 over here bought a $40 print. He'd love you to shout it out for me. He's like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, what's that kind of been like of like, because like now, and I mean, you've already had a little bit of a taste with this with because you were at what Anime Impulse, right? So like,
Yeah.
is it weird now that like it's almost like a rite of passage of like, well, you've been in a big IP for a anime or Japanese related property. Time for you to be on the convention circuit now.
Yeah, it was super cool. Also, I will add, I now know how Matt Mercer feels, kind of. I
I need that
realized
clipped out instantly. I have felt Matt Mercer.
I realized that when people know of you but don't know you personally, they say your whole name. So when I'm like, when I see like comments sometimes, it's like Justice Slocum, and like I usually don't hear like my whole name ever. So it's like crazy. Like people like, oh yeah, Justice Slocum did this, Justice Slocum did that. I'm like, whoa, hey, hey, Justice Slocum is my father. You could just call me Justice. My father isn't Justice. My dad's not. My
I
dad's
would
name
love
isn't
it if you
Justice
were
Slocum.
Justice Slocum Jr. and had never told anyone. See, in my brain, I heard you say, I know how Matt Mercer feels," and I thought like you met him at the convention and shook his hand and was going to describe to me like
Remind
he's
Melder.
got such sweaty palms. We did we did the Avatar like hair ponytail connection thing. Because like this is the fucked up thing. So like, and I think I even told Matt this. Like when I first met Matt, because I
Mhm.
interviewed him. I think back in like 2015 or 2016 is forever ago. But I remember the first time I saw him, I was like, man, that dude's hair is fucking luscious. Because he's just
Mhm.
got that long, committedly. Man, we've brought up hair, and when I say we, I mean me. That's all on me. I'm like, damn, I brought up hair a lot on this podcast. I gotta talk to my
Hey,
therapist
it's the
about
hair
this.
podcast.
See, you start for the Little Caesars talk, you end for the hair talk.
The hair to Little Caesars. The Little Caesars, the hair pipeline.
It's the only way I ever want to bring up hair with Little Caesars pizza ever, please. But yeah, so like, were there any other kind of like big takeaways though from like doing like in a convention like that of like either do you know if like you either kind of want to do any more of those? Do you have any other ones like planned? Is it one of those things where like you'd like to go and travel for it, or kind of a case per case basis?
Oh, yes. It was I had a blast. Everyone was super nice. Everyone that came up. Someone came up to my table. They're the MVP, and they're like, "Oh, I'm flying through Lost Judgment, and I noticed that you're that one character from the
That's the
robotics thing."
real
I'm like,
MVP.
yes,
He's a real one.
yes.
He knew. He did the robotics.
Um, I would like to do more conventions. I'm still trying to figure all that stuff out. I I'd love to meet more Persona fans and Yakuza and Lost Judgment fans. It's super cool seeing everybody. Oh, one of the days, here's a fun little story. I hope it's fun. Um, so cosplayers came up to my table and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go to the I think the first one was Saturday, and one person was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go to the Persona cosplay meetup tomorrow." I was like, "Oh, cool, cool, cool." And then when Sunday came, someone's like, "Oh, I'm about to head out to the Persona cosplay meetup." I'm like, can you tell me where that is? Can you tell me where that's being held up? And then they told me, so then I like went to like a little shadowy corner so I couldn't be spotted. But then I was spotted, and they're like, "Oh, come over here, come over here. Let's just take pictures. Let's take pictures." And then we took pictures and stuff. I'm like, oh, heck yeah, cool. And then when I walked back to my booth, Heather, the voice for Yukari, is like, oh, yeah, how was it? How was it? I was like, it's cool. And she's like, oh, I wish I could have went. And I'm like, you want to go? We can go. This is still going on. We can go. So then it was me, Heather. We grabbed Don, Justine, and Zeno. And then we went back, and then we crashed it again. And then we took pictures. We took pictures of all the cosplayers. It was super fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, like I'm very much the like background guy for like whenever you see like those pictures of the friend groups at conventions, it's like you're with all your friends are in hilariously elaborate cosplays, and then you're wearing your jeans and graphic T-shirt. I'm that guy.
Yeah.
I'm like that always +1 with it. So like that was always like really funny of like going to like during Anime Expo there was a big Atlas fan meetup. And what was so wild about it was because like Atlas had actually like given it a shout out ahead of time. It was just one of all right, I should say that more properly. It was on a blog post that maybe 5 people saw, but all 5 of those were there, and it was one of those things of like cool. Because it wasn't just like hey go and show us your cosplay. Like it definitely was. There was a lot of really cool like Atlas cosplay. It was also just a way of being like hey I like this company. Like let's. Like, it's that thing of instantly being like, I know why you're here, and you just have that, like, instant connection thing. So that was really, really kind of cool with it, of, like, seeing that on such a larger scale, especially just because, like, I always appreciate going to, like, small, medium, and, like, large conventions are always so funny to kind of, like, compare them all, just because that passion is, like, always there, of, like... These people are like, and that's like the extra like wild thing too of like there are those people out there who are like, oh yeah, I'm here to see Christopher Sabat, and just that I'm gonna wait in this dude's line for as long as it takes, and I'm gonna see him and talk with him for a few minutes and get him to sign this thing, and that's all I'm here for. And those dudes are like the most ride or die like possible for it, and it's always like so, and that's why like I always give like a really big shout out to because like. Not ever like saying anything to like if you like when you have a cutoff and you got to go do something. I totally get it, especially at conventions. Like it's a complete like rat race of trying to decide where you are, how much time you get to spend on doing what. You're always getting pulled in a million directions, so it's like it's always crazy. But like one of the wildest things with it is like every time I've ever like seen like guys like Chris Abbott or whatever, like they'll be like. I don't care how long it goes. If you waited in that dude's line, he will stay there until everyone has been dealt with and does not leave. Doesn't give you like a quick high five, like here you go, there's your selfie. Like when you have like those people who like really kind of connect with their fans and stuff with it, it really kind of goes above and beyond.
Super cool.
So what I'm saying is when I meet you in person, we better have a 3-hour-long discussion or else I'll be very personally offended, Justice.
If you don't bring me a little...
Oh my god, you know what? Now that you say that, I'm not even going to tell you. If you ever go to a convention that I'm able to go to, you'll just see and be like, who's that white guy in the back with the little Caesar? Be like, oh my god. you'll have like a Vietnam flashback.
Also, I also want to add, we can get real serious on the podcast now. The square pizzas that they took out was also really good. Do they still have the square pizzas?
The deep dish.
Ooh, the deep dish. Yeah,
the deep dish. When that was another. You know what? Because you're talking about the triple meat game changer. The deep dish for the first time. Hit so wild, and then like it wasn't always great, but man, let me tell you, the first time I tried, they did the deep dish with the bacon crust around the edge. Whoo! When you knew you were balling when you busted out the $12 for the bacon crust deep dish.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Now I'm gonna have to like try and find someone. I want like someone to commission. Like Shinji just eating at Little Caesars with Akihiko because it's on brand. We've got Caesar in Persona 3.
Oh, that's really good. But now I kind of want Akihiko and like a Little Caesars like uniform.
We could get
And then
we
his
would just
persona's
get
in the
like what's
background.
their day jobs? Like how does Akihiko and Shinji make money? They're at the only Little Caesars in Japan. That's where they work when they're not full. Oh my god. But yeah, if this discussion about pizza and hair has not convinced you to buy a copy of Persona 3 Reload, I don't know what will. So please, everybody out there, if you're excited about this, or if somehow this is your first time hearing about it, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Justice, I cannot thank you enough for coming on, being our first
Thank you
super
for
special
having
guest
me.
of 2024. It was an absolute blast, but I gotta ask now, where can people find you if they're like, I need more justice, I need more big money in my life, where can they find you?
Okay, let me see. Let me go down the line. You can find me on Instagram at justiceslocum.wave. You can find me on Twitter at justiceslocum. You can find me on twitch.tv at crazily Fun fact, I wanted to change it to my real name, but my last name has a naughty word in it,
We
so
don't
it
like
didn't
slow.
let me.
Twitch is not a fan of the word slow. That is confirmed.
What else do I have? That's about it. Yeah. If you like D&D podcasts, it hasn't been updated in a while. Don't at me, okay? It hasn't been updated in a while, but it's channel stupidity. You can also go to channelstupidity.com if you want to listen to a little D&D podcast. I'm just saying, if you want to,
Who do
you don't have to.
who do you have on Channel Stupidity?
It's me. It's my friend. Oh, it's my friend Riley's the DM, and they handled everything. So it's Riley the DM, my friend Kale, my friend Jennings, my friend Celia, and then there's a little old me. But if you just want to check it out,
It's
you
40.
could.
It's 47 free
super
hours
cool.
of podcast just sitting there for anyone to. If you're like, God, I can't wait a week for Persona 3. You can just listen and make everyone whoever's got the Libsyn sign in, just have them refresh it after this and be like, oh my god!
Oh my goodness! What is
The numbers went over 10 today, guys. We're blowing the charts up.
It's that have you seen the Twitter thing? It's like, man, this is doing numbers.
It's like, oh my god, dude! 10 people retweeted this. Holy! Is this what Mr. Beast feels like? Oh my god, that is too funny. But yeah, I will have links for all of those in the show notes below, so everyone can go and check that out as well.
Thank you so much.
Very much appreciate it. I also appreciate you guys listening. An extra big shout out to all of the patrons who are not only listening to this early, but also just help make the show. Pay for all 10 of those Libsyn downloads. Those aren't free downloads, kids. Those server fees add up. That's a real cost, I can tell you. So, big shout out to all the people who support us on patreon.com/SMTN, and extra big shout outs to our executive producers. So, big thank you, because we actually have been getting, surprise, when you do a podcast, people will go back to the Patreon. I found out after being very inconsistent with the schedule. So, I appreciate you all coming back, and new people, and, new and old patrons returning. So big shout out to all the producers, Preacher's Game, Cosmic Lumi, Contraband, Budweiser Tall Cans, Carlos Hernandez, Cross Renren, Garo Sora, Solaire, Mirth, and Patrick Dissart. Thank you all so much for being the real big monies of the day, the permanent big money.
Big money!
So, but yeah, with that, we might be able to actually split. I'll probably have you be the first person to get the pizza. I'll order the pizza closest to you. You can eat it on the stream today, and then whatever's left, you can just like FedEx to me, and then I'll like. It's so cold outside. I think you could be fine with just throwing it in like a bubble mailer, and it should be good. But yes, by the time you all see this on the free feeds, though, the game will be less than a week out, so we will be back next week to talk about Persona 3 Reload and be reloaded and have a lot of, I'm sure, not hot takes about the game. So, you know what actually what's funny is, like, where we're recording this at, we just put out a predictions episode. So then, for all the people out there, because we
Ooh.
did Atlas predictions, so just as instead of saying just normal goodbye, what is one Persona 3 Reload prediction that you think will happen when the game finally comes out next week?
Ooh. Oh yeah, can I also give it one more
Oh,
shout out?
please!
My bad.
All the
Don't mean to-
shout-outs.
Shout out to Leanne Albanese, the GOAT. You better be listening to this. If you're not, I just talked about you on the podcast.
I think they're
Oh, yeah, that's all I
legally
wanted to do.
obligated. It's like there's like a Google sound alert. Like every time someone says their name, like I have to clip it out and send it to them so that they know. But no, yeah, I mean honestly, Leanne is like one of the bigger reasons, if not the big reason. Like when I was talking to her, I think even before the actual episode, she was like, "You have to get Justice on." And then what was so funny was like, well, what has to actually happen is after you have your episode, there's going to be an episode where it's both of you together. Because the world needs to experience what that's like.
Ooh, I'm so down. I'm so down.
Down
I'm
to
ready.
clown with everyone's favorite clown aficionado. See, I don't know why. I was like
been
trying to
waiting
think
for
like,
this.
oh, who's it gonna be? What like unofficial, like, is it a D brand sponsorship? Like, what are we gonna give one last shout out to? Is it like what's the Raid Shadow Legend of podcast sponsors? Like, I'm trying to think because I'm like, what's like the sponsor you don't want to get, but the one when you get offered it, you have to say yes to. I'm like I'm trying to think like who's that equivalent for podcast right now. Remember it used to be mattresses. Remember back at, like, you could not listen to a fucking podcast.
Like a Casper.
It was like, what was it? It was Casper and like
mattress.
Linda, and then also
Helix.
was it like who was? Oh, HelloFresh. You could not listen to.
HelloFresh.
You better be
Yeah.
fucking sleeping and eating if you're listening to podcasts, because you're gonna hear ads about it for the rest of your life.
Manscaped.
Oh man, the world's not ready for me to be reading shaved ball ads on this podcast. It would lead to such a tangent every week. I would have to record them separately. I'd have to be like, I have to throw them in like in a mid-place ad roll. I would be unable to do it in the middle of the show.
Look at that. We went back to hair.
Jesus.
Look at us.
It all comes back to pizza and hair. Well, Justice, thank you again. Everybody listening, thank you, and I'm sorry. I'll just say both of those at the same time. We will see you next week. Goodbye, everybody.
Wait, I didn't answer your question.
Oh, no, you're right.
Sorry,
Oh,
wait.
yeah, never mind. Yeah,
Like-
good. Put the hair pizza back. Put the hair pizza back. What's the prediction?
Oh wait, I gotta get the hair off my tongue.
Oh, my God.
Prediction for Persona 3 Reload. What do you mean? Wait.
You can take that question in any way you want. It can be like, people are going to do this. This will happen. World hunger will be cured. You can make any prediction you want. It's just, when P3R is finally out, February 2nd, 2024, what is one thing you're predicting will happen?
Okay, here's what I'm predicting. People are gonna get the game. They're gonna buy the game, and I want them to at me, and I want them to at you with a picture of them purchase the game they purchased, and then I want them to caption it YEAH, yeah. And then when they beat the game, I want them to at me and then at you, and then put YE, yeah.
No context, no
That's what I
hashtags, just tag and ye and yeah. That's all you're allowed to do.
That's what I want.
Unfortunately, our listening base will definitely do that. We are a bunch of depraved animals. Like, I think it literally took COVID to get us to stop one of our longest traditions. Like, for the longest time, I think in it was from 2014 literally up until like 2020. Anytime an Atlas game would come out, instead of taking a picture of the game and being like, "Here you go, everybody, I got my copy of the game," what you would be supposed to do is go back to like the 2004 like G4 era, and you're supposed to take a selfie of yourself licking the game, and it was called Lick a Tensei, and it would be and of course, because it's the internet, it would get worse with each release. So it would go from selfies to videos to like people Lady and the Tramping with a copy of Persona 5 like meeting in the middle. So yeah, I'm very confident that we can make the we can make this prediction come true. I believe in you, community.
I believe in you, community, as well.
And with that, the prophet has spoken. We must retire big money into the Streamerly caves. Thank you, everybody, for real this time. Goodbye. We will see you next week.
Goodbye. Thank you for having me.